Mzansi. I'm Sizu Mapena, welcoming you to Game On at a special time in the way of football on the African continent, thanks to, of course, the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations out in Cote d'Ivoire. So today, first we'll start off by wishing Jerry Skosana a speedy recovery, with Christopher Bongo stepping into his place later on in the show to help us speak about all things AFCON, including a few special legends to add on to the list in the way of Brian Baloyi, as well as Steve Kompela, giving us their thoughts on the Bafana game ahead of the Tunisia experience. Of course, we'll get their thoughts and predictions in what they thought, including the reaction, of course, after the Tunisia game. But starting off the show, why not add another legend to the mix? Of course, in Shane McGregor, helping us break down things in the game out in England. Shane, thank you so much for your time. And let's talk about this now. It's an interesting time in England out as well. We've just come out of a legendary and, of course, historically busy December period in England in as far as their football. And now something new, the winter break. For those that don't understand the winter break, please break it down for them.
Yeah, this is something new altogether, as we said. You know, it's brilliant. I think it's well due, because the guys play so many games over their Christmas period that you really do get tired legs. So what they've decided this year is they'll have a little bit of a break for teams. So 10 games will be played 1 week, and then the following week the teams that haven't played will play. So giving teams a bit of a break. It's a good and a bad thing. For those that played first, not so great because you had to come in, but then it also works the other way around. You know, if you play in the second week, you still have to train, but it's not as high intensity as what has been happening over the Christmas period. So it gives the guys a little bit of time to adjust, a little bit of the niggling injuries to come right, and also for teams just to get refreshed for those breaks. Like, for instance, Man City went away, hot climate, to have a bit of a break, device. So little things like that, and it makes a big difference in a player's mind, his whole head psyche, everything like that.
And for teams that lost players to the international game in the way of the Asian Cup, as well as, let's say, the Africa Cup of Nations, guys like Liverpool, of course, they'll welcome this break. And speaking of the Africa Cup of Nations, one of the most highest profile players in England, possibly in the world, Mo Salah, sees his biggest fears, and maybe Jurgen Klopp's biggest fears, coming to light. Jack going off to go play in Cote d'Ivoire, picking up an injury, and his agent coming out saying his recovery time will be about 28 or so days, meaning he's out of the AFCON, but also may hurt Liverpool somewhat, yeah?
Well, he's not 100% out of AFCON. I know what players are like, and I know what agents are like. They always make it bigger than what it should be.
Sure.
I know all about that. So what they try and do is they try and give you 28 days, but he could be ready before then. Mo's biggest thing is he's never won the AFCON, and that's one of the prizes he wants to win. He's won big prizes all over the world in world football, and that's one of the few that he hasn't won. He's trying to get ready in case Egypt get to the final, and he can be ready for that. And they're working hard on him on a daily basis. They obviously do what they have to do. I mean, for Liverpool, it's also a blow, but they would try and want to get him back ready anyway. The sooner the better. So it's a bit of a difficult one, but I know Mo Salah has come out and said he wants to try and be there in case they get to the final, so he can be part of it and hopefully win the AFCON.
Of course, in the very near future, they'll be talking about the FA Cup and looking at the FA Cup out in England. But let's look at the league when it resumes and some of the fixtures that will be coming up. Arsenal, always an interesting talking point of late and in recent times, currently third on the log behind City, same number of points as City, but most importantly, 5 behind Liverpool.
Yeah, and the big thing about them is that break came at a good time for them, because they were going through a bad patch. The break changed, they got a good couple of goals in the next game, which was brilliant for them. So that came at a good time for them. There's some teams that didn't come, other teams that did. Arsenal are one of those teams, they're going to be there at the end of the season no matter what. I think what we're seeing now, the top 3 teams are going to be the top 3 teams come the end of the season. In what order, I'm not 100% sure, but that'll be it. Liverpool have been lucky, got away with the injuries, got away with certain things, players gone. But, Arsenal haven't had many players gain, so it's been a good time for them. I think they come up against Forest, and I can't see them not winning. Forest have been good of late, but when Arsenal are in song, you've got to be looking at them. I think they'll get the job done, yeah.
Now, the surprise package last season, easy to say, Newcastle United, in the way they improved, qualified for the Champions League. The surprise package this season Easy to say, Aston Villa. Currently same number of points, of course, as City and Arsenal as well. So they're in the running still. We can't count them out by any stretch of the imagination. But these two teams, quite interestingly, come up against each other now.
This is a difficult game to call, and I'll tell you why. Both teams have, Aston Villa were flying high, and then all of a sudden hit a few hiccups, and they haven't properly recovered from that. Newcastle have improved over the last few weeks. Their game has got better. They've had a lot of injuries, so I think a lot of those players are coming back from injury. This one, for me, to be very honest, has got draw written all over it, unfortunately. Both teams, as I say, are struggling a little bit. I think it'll be a very close game. Odd goal might win it, but I think a draw will be on the cards.
Can't ignore Liverpool-Chelsea. That's always a fixture that jumps out at you at any given week.
And that'll be a cup final down the road as well. So, Liverpool have surprised me. I'll be very honest. Even as a Liverpool supporter, they surprised me about getting the results. Chelsea, we never know. You don't know on the day which Chelsea team are going to arrive. They can pitch, beat Liverpool 3-0, but they can also be there and get well up 3-4-0. So it's one of those teams that are very unpredictable. A very close game, but I think Liverpool have got their backs up, and I think they'll get something out of this against Chelsea.
Everybody's saying De Bruyne's back.
Oh, what a
City's back. They're up against Burnley, their home City.
And the worst part about everything, Haaland's on his way back as well. So you must know, people are looking and saying, City will win it. They are 5 points behind Liverpool, but they got the game in hand. They still got to win that game in hand. But with Haaland coming back, you've got De Bruyne. They're going to win this one as well. They're going to push very hard for this title. It's not over yet. It's a long way to go. As I said, the first three teams that you see now, I think those will be fighting for top position at the end of the year.
Of course, we can't ignore this. One of the biggest sides in the world, of course, Manchester United, without Onana, was grabbing headlines out in Cote d'Ivoire for maybe not the right reasons. They're away to Wolves, and traditionally Wolves at times have given United a good run for their money. Yeah?
Wolves are one of their bogey teams.
Sure.
They always seem to struggle against Wolves. Man United, you can't say they're a big team at this stage with the way they're playing. This break has come at a good time. Hopefully they'll change things around. I don't know what Man United team are going to be out there, who's going to be flying, who's not going to be. Onana might be a good thing that he's not there for them. I do think Wolves will get something out of this game against United.
All right, so that's what's happening out in England, of course, and thank you so much, Shane, for your views and educating us on the winter break as well. Something new out in England, and something not so new happening out in Cote d'Ivoire is, of course, the Africa Cup of Nations. What a tournament thus far. It's kept the heads coming, and on the other side of this, Christopher Bongo joins me, and we break down what's been happening in Cote d'Ivoire with a few special guests as well.
Check these guys. Let's show them how it's really done. I see it. Let's have a
your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Your feet like this.
Welcome back, Mzansi, and as promised, time now to get into the Africa Cup of Nations and what joy is brought us, shocks as well. And all the action out in Cote d'Ivoire is, a huge talking point at the start of what has been a great footballing year in the way of African football. And if we are to discuss African football, who better to discuss it with than the son of the soil, a man who's dedicated himself to the African game, Christophe Bongo. Chris, great to be in your company. Let's talk this AFCON. So many surprises, so many shocks, yet a high quality. Talk to me, your teams that have qualified, what separated them and why so many shocks?
You and I, when we used to go to AFCON, a 1-0 win, it was a big game.
Yes.
A 2-1 win, it was a big game.
Great entertainment, 3 goals.
This AFCON is totally different.
Yeah.
But let me just congratulate you for South Africa winning. And me, I've got a double congratulation because it is South Africa and the DRC, the last 16.
So unfair.
Unfortunately, both teams, they were in the group that have low scoring numbers. I mean, South Africa, Group E, we've got 9 goals. And the DRC in Group F, They've got 10 goals. Very poor compared to other groups where you have 15 goals and 18 goals being scored. The separation is very simple. The quality of playing is different 3 levels. Level 1, you have teams with top players. They play as a team. Yeah. Example, Senegal, they play as a team. Egypt, top players, they play as a team. Algeria, top players, they play as a team. And the result is different. Then you have average team play as a team. You have a Guinea-Bissau, the way they played. You have a Cape Verde, the way they played. You have Equatorial Guinea, the way they played, including Namibia. Average team, but with a team play. And then you have teams with a top players, but individual.
Yes.
Wow, the DRC of this world, they are very individual. Ghana of this world, individual. Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria. Individual. Nigeria, individual. So it shows you, when you're individual, regardless of your level, the result does not bear fruit. So that is the difference in this AFCON.
I have to also ask you, we've said a lot about the conditions coming into this AFCON, the humidity as well, high 80s, early 90s, and percentage-wise. Yet still they're able to give us the entertainment, the goals, and a high-quality game here. How are they able to do that?
First of all, CAF did allow water break, or cooling break, they call it. That is great. The second one is, I say to you, in Africa, there is a proverb that if you have one choice, and that choice that you have, losing is not an option. Well, losing is not an option. You will take it. So losing is not an option. So regardless of the weather, regardless of what's happening, I mean, we have kids in Africa, they have to go for 7 kilometers for them to find water, and they have to go uphill, and they've got water and they come with it, but they still manage to get the water. The result in this tournament, it was water. You don't want to lose. So regardless of the time, you have to win. And you're talking about the condition. 80% of games in this AFCON were decided in the last 90 minutes, the last 5 minutes. Last 5 minutes.
True.
The results change for you to go through or not to go through. So that tells you that the power of human ability, and of course, things are changing. Technology is coming in. You saw players wearing long sleeves, not because they wanted to be fashionable, no. It is to block the heat and to keep them dry. And that alone is well good. Many teams, they came with different doctors for them to have a recovery time becoming shorter. But now the conditions become even heavier because now the coach will tell you, you have 120 minutes. Give me 100% in 120 minutes, and then you go home. So that's what we're saying.
Tell you what, it has certainly been game on to this AFCON out in Cote d'Ivoire. They've scored a total of about 89 goals at an average of 2.47 goals a game then. So the entertainment levels have certainly been high. And, the man who's coming on now is a man who made it his business to ensure goals don't find the back of the net. A goalkeeper who was the last to represent South Africa in a final of an Africa Cup of Nations, a Chiefs legend, a Sundowns legend. That, of course, is Brian Baloyi, and we have the absolute pleasure of introducing him onto the show. Of course, we caught up to him for the Tunisia game to get his thoughts on Bafana and Hugo Broos. Brian, thank you so much for your time. Let's talk about it. Hugo Broos, Bafana, so close to getting into the knockout stages. In your thoughts, what would Hugo Broos be saying to the players in training or in the change room to try and get them to take that all-important step into the knockout stages?
I think right now the coach is telling the boys that let's forget about the victory on Sunday. The victory was very important, but now they have to get their feet back on the ground, and this should be for most of the players in this squad, especially players like Temba, Zwane, like Pesitau. This might be their last Nations Cup, but they need as well to be to keep their feet on the ground and forget about the history between Tunisia and South Africa. Knowing exactly that we haven't beaten them in the last 3 games in the AFCONs, so he should highlight that, and so that the players can look at it as that it's an opportunity for them to make history.
You've been there before in the way of an AFCON. You've gotten to a final in your playing days. And let's talk now about your experience at an AFCON in your playing days and this current AFCON that's just kept the hits and surprises coming all the way through.
Yep, I had an opportunity of playing in the AFCON and going all the way to the final. And I think the boys have an opportunity to do that right now. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed with this Nations Cup is that the gap between the big countries and the smaller countries has really narrowed. And I think that's the biggest thing right now. People are talking about if we qualify, even if we had to lose and qualify as a third, for me it's very important really to qualify, whether it's first or second. But again, it doesn't matter who you're going to play. There's a lot of big surprises, and a lot of the smaller countries have a big temperament, and they show that they're not here to add numbers, and they are showing that the football on the African continent has really grown in leaps and bounds.
Well, thank you very much to Brian Baloyi for his thoughts, of course. And now let's move on to yet another South African legend, the first man to captain South Africa at international level, a man who also coached South Africa at international level, and as a club coach, he's also gotten to the latter stages of the CAF Champions League with Mamelodi Sundowns. That, of course, is the legendary, the people's champion, so to speak, in Steve Komphela. But Steve, thank you so much for your time. And as a coach, we love to get into coaches' minds as football fellas and imagine, or football fans, I should say, and imagine what you guys say in the change room ahead of big games, ahead of big moments.
It is at the moment where everybody else's expectations are on their shoulders, and you know how crucial it is, the final match. Just tell them to live in the here and now, focus on every action, stay in the present. Because if you want to play a match whose result is tomorrow, that's gonna distract your level of concentration and confidence. If you want to look back at the matches you played which did not give a positive result, it drags your energy. So you have to be in the moment, in the zone.
Game on.
Welcome back as we continue to talk all things Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations. And still joining me here is my brother Christopher Bongo, has been now looking to the last 16 names.
Mains.
16
Boys
big
are
names.
I've got 2 teams here. How many you have?
You've got 2?
Yes.
I've got about 3.
No, me, I've got DRC and South Africa. You?
Oh, no, I've got South Africa. Yeah. And then Ghana's gone, so my second, my home away from home is not there. But let's talk about South Africa, Morocco.
Ooh.
Everybody's been talking about this. We feared this might be the case. It's now reality. But I spoke to someone yesterday who made a very good point. They said, in as far as motivation, South Africa don't need any more motivation than this. The eyes of the world will be on this game because Morocco and what they did at the last World Cup. Your thoughts on a huge game for South Africa?
You know, I was watching the game. I keep on switching channels. I was watching it from Sky Sports. And when the game finished, instead of saying South Africa qualified for the last 16, they said Tunis has been eliminated.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
They did not say South Africa. They said Tunisia has been eliminated from the AFCON.
As in the nation they rated.
Yeah, no, because for them is the only team that counts for them it is Tunisia because there's some Tunisian players playing in England. But this game for me is it came in a good time because South Africa, they just come from Tunisia. They'll know almost what to expect playing against Morocco.
Okay.
But why that Casablanca name keep coming in your head? We have bad experience.
There's a bit of a rivalry there now between the two nations, next to Sundowns and Casablanca.
Exactly. So yeah, big game, massive game.
Another massive game I have to mention, and I have to separate from the others. Senegal up against the host nation that thought they didn't qualify, fired a coach, and have qualified.
So Rigobert Song said, don't be scared of a dead person. But everybody's scared of dead people.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, the dead person won't do nothing to you, but you're scared of it.
So you're saying
So Cote d'Ivoire, they were
they've risen from the dead.
So when something is dead, let it be dead. But when you see something is dead and moves, you have to be very scared. So Senegal here, they are playing against a nation that already fired the coach. You're playing against a nation that they have nothing to lose anymore because they've lost it already. So this is a very, very tough game. By the way, your selection of games, tell people, is not the best games. No. It's just the game that you're picking up.
Yeah, these are the games that are jumping out at me. Now I must ask you, what games jump out at you?
One. The Super Eagle.
Yeah.
And the Lion. Indomitable Lion. Can you just imagine being in the stadium, watching Cameroon playing against Nigeria?
I'm getting flashbacks of J.J. Okocha against Patrick Mboma years ago.
There is nothing about football there. It is a battle.
Yeah.
Everything
rivalry.
you do. And when you watch Cameroon, the last game they played, the way they went through, when you watch how Nigeria celebrated themselves getting there, it is amazing. But for me, the set football game I did not want to watch is Angola-Namibia. Two Southern African teams meeting again. For me, I think both teams deserve to go to quarterfinals just because I'm from Southern Africa. But them meeting, one will be eliminated.
I'll tell you who deserves to be heard. A man who's worked with Hollywoodbets and has done his bit to contribute to football like Hollywoodbets, of course, as a whole. That is Menzi Ngobo, who joins us from the Hollywoodbets home out in Durban, KZN. Menzi, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Let's get into this chat.
It's really important for us as a brand, as Hollywoodbets, to always make sure that we cater to the needs of the people. One of the things that we pride ourselves with as a brand is that we are a part of the communities in which we trade in. So it is important for us to make sure that whenever we endeavor in any sponsorship elements, we think and have the people in mind and put the people first. So it was important for us to make sure that we bring the beautiful game to South Africans by being a proud associate sponsor and partner of the SABC Sport to bring you the AFCON 2023. It's very important for our partners to know where we are, where we're based. We are a family-orientated business. We are a business that prides ourselves in people. So whenever we go into sponsorship agreements or into sponsorship relationships, we always call them partnerships. And in partnerships, you have to always invite your partner to your home so they can see what you are doing and what you're about. It's an African sign of Ubuntu. It's an African sign of growth. It's an African sign of prosperity, because when we go into these partnerships, it's not just about the money, but it's also about the relationships that we form with our partners. So it's important for SABC to come here and explore our environment, our neck of the woods, and bring the beautiful game to the people from our headquarters here in Durban, Umhlanga. This has been an AFCON of upsets. This has been the AFCON of the underdog. If you see the way that some of the teams have performed, I don't think anyone would have taken a bet on Namibia beating Tunisia. I don't think anyone would have taken a bet on Cote d'Ivoire losing by 4-0. I don't think anyone would have taken a bet on Egypt just scraping through to the next round. I think this has been an AFCON for the underdog. And if South Africa came into this competition as underdogs, this is an opportunity for them to show why the underdogs are barking this time around.
Time flies when you're having fun, and we've come to the end of yet another exciting Game On episode here. Thanks to Shane McGregor, Christopher Brongo. Let's not forget the likes of Brian Baloyi, Steve Kompela, as well as Menzi Ngobo from Hollywoodbets. And before we say goodbye to you, let's look back at some of the best moments from the group stages of an exciting and thoroughly entertaining Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations. Click, click, bang.